Welcome to the Los Angeles Sentinel Daily Brief. This is where we talk black and talk back to the headlines that are impacting the black experience. I'm Niele Anderson, and here's what you need to know for today. Jackson, Mississippi, a southern state and city that's over 80% black and a landmark during the civil rights era, has entered into a dire water crisis that's impacting its predominantly black community. Jackson State, an HBCU where NFL Hall of Famer Deion Sanders is head coach, is also impacted by the crisis, and he had this to say.
Make sure all our kids are fed and all our kids have the necessities of life for the next several days until this crisis resides. That's what we're operating in right now. So we're going to find somewhere to practice, find somewhere that can accommodate every darn thing that we need and desire to be who we desire to be. The devil is a lie. You ain't going to get us today, baby.
Joining me now to discuss how this happened and its impact on Jackson is former DNC advisor and state director for the Southern Poverty of Law Center, Mississippi, Waikinya Clanton. Welcome to the Daily Brief. I'm so grateful that you gave me a call and wanted to talk about this and help amplify this message. But for our viewers out there, Waikinya, can you talk to us about how this crisis started?
Well, Neil, thank you so much for having us on your show today. The crisis in Jackson has been long withstanding, and the folks here on the ground have been working around the clock to see how we could best provide relief to the residents here in Jackson. Many folks, and I'm sure you've heard by now, there's all types of stories about like how we got to this point, and people really wanting to kind of get to the heart of it. Well, it all started about 100 years ago, to
Mm.
be honest with you. Jackson in 1922, Jackson kind of had this surge of people moving to the capital city here in Mississippi. As a result, it put some strain on the water system, and so that's kind of where we note the first kind of like infrastructure challenge with the system.
So over 100,000 people are impacted, and those are predominantly Black folks.
83% of them are Black people.
So let's talk about the recent news report saying that there has been temporary relief and pumps being made available to the people of Jackson, Mississippi. How true is that?
That is accurate. It is a temporary solution that some people. It has been the pumps have been able to help restore pressure to the water system. The pressure is essential because it helps to cleanse the water, and so it helps treat the water. Because anytime you have still water, parasites, bacteria, and other agents tend to form, and so poses a health risk to anyone who consumes that water. And so that is true. We do have I think the governor was able to get one temporary like pump up at the power plant working to help start moving some of that water, so now people can at least flush their toilets with.
Mhm.
The water though is still uninhabitable, meaning you should not
Wow.
consume the water. It cannot be drank. You should not wash your dishes in it. You should not wash your clothes in it. And so it's still a bit of a challenge here in the capital city.
How long do you predict it to last?
There is no end in sight, to be honest with you. The problem that we have here in the capital city has occurred over generations. We have generations of leaders who failed to provide real thoughtful solutions to the people here in Jackson. And so the problem was not caused overnight. It will not be fixed overnight. That is highly unfortunate for the people who live here in the capital city, because it's just what we've had to endure for the past 2 years, honestly, just amplified at this point.
You touched on racial inequities over time that help this problem evolve. But I want to know from you, how much of a role does climate change play into this water crisis in Jackson?
Well, climate change absolutely has an impact on what we're experiencing. The severe weather events alone help to add to the overall collapse of this system, right? The flooding, Jackson has always had an issue with floods, but this time it was a little bit different. The water levels rose in a way that was not predictable. And so
Mhm.
as a result, we see what we've seen today. And so it was a problem that was destined to happen, but it was definitely a number of different factors that played in the inevitability of the system collapsing.
Southern Poverty and Law conducts a lot of research when we talk about racial inequalities, when we talk about systemic racism, when we look at voting and disenfranchisement of people of color. I want to know from you, how much of a role do you think systemic racism in this country plays into what is happening in Jackson, Mississippi today?
Well, at the Southern Poverty Law Center, are committed to dismantling white supremacy and ending systemic racism in the Deep South and beyond. And so, when we look at the crisis that is happening here in Jackson, systemic racism definitely has played a part in that. As recently as July of this year, when the mayor was sounding the alarm around what was happening at the water plant, the governor actually ignored that call several different times. When the EPA administrator came to Jackson last year and he announced that the state of Mississippi would be receiving a little bit over $17 million in aid to help with the water systems in Mississippi. The mayor of Jackson requested almost $50 million of that money to go to help with some of the repairs that were necessary for the system. The governor, as well as the state legislature, denied that request and only awarded the city of Jackson $3 million. And so, you can only stand to question why that was the case. Jackson
Mhm.
is the largest city here in Mississippi. It is the state capital. It houses not only the governor's mansion, it also houses the state legislature. It houses majority of the businesses here in the capital region. And so, one could only beg to ask the question as to why the requests of the mayor were denied when 83% of the city is African American.
Hmm. A question that I know you will be at the forefront of and help us get the answers. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And before we let you go, how can our viewers support the work that you're doing and support the people of Jackson, Mississippi?
To support the crisis that's happening here as it relates to the water in Jackson, I would encourage your listeners and your readers to contact the Mississippi Rapid Response Coalition. They can do so by calling them at 601-960-1875, or they can email them at rapidresponse at peoples, that's with an S, advocacyinstitute.com. Email them, let them know that you want to support, you want to get involved, you want to donate to the crisis that is happening here in Mississippi's capital city. Or if you want to support the work that we're doing at the Southern Poverty Law Center, please follow us online at www.splcenter.org.
Thank you for all the work that you're doing. And we will definitely be checking in with you within the next few weeks to see how our loved ones are doing in Jackson, Mississippi.
Thank you so much, Niele.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Systemic racism in this country is still being fought, and it is up to us to make sure that we continue to keep these stories in the forefront. So, for the latest in Black news, you want to visit lasentinel.net. I'm Niele Anderson, and you have just been debriefed.
Today's Daily Brief is brought to you by Microsoft, a proud sponsor of Taste of Soul's digital world. Microsoft, bringing tech innovation to the Black community.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me here. We are at the Taste of Soul meeting, and I could just tell you right now, we are here for you, the community. And I love that I get to meet all the different departments that make our city work. You really get a sense of the infrastructure here. We have the police department, fire department. It's amazing.
My name is Corey Crockerham. I'm a business rep with the Southwest Regional Council of Carpenters, also the chair of the African American Task Force, just a mentor committee within the Carpenters. The thing I'm most excited about is just joining with this whole family environment and helping out with Taste of Soul. We're going to have a lot of volunteers out here. It's going to be our first year participating, and I'm really excited about getting the work done.
Number one thing I want to do at the Taste of Soul, besides work with the wonderful staff, presenters, organizers, and you, the public, is to get some of that food.
Enjoy the food. Oh, I cannot wait to taste all of the great food that's going to be at Taste of Soul.
But the reason why you really should come is for the entertainment and the food.
I better see you there. I'm not playing.
And we love you guys, and we care for you, and we want to keep you safe. So please don't miss out on the Taste of Soul.